21 at 5:37 p.m. Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure. Mr. Valtierrez?
Here.
Mr. Wagner is on his way. Mr. Alexander?
Here.
Mrs. Kelly?
Present.
Mrs. Medina?
Present.
Ms. Patterson absent. Ms. Grant here. We have a quorum.
Great. Can I get a motion to retire to executive session for the purposes of the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. However, a meeting to consider an increase in compensation to a specific employee of a public body that is subject to the Local Government Wage Increase Transparency Act may not be closed and shall be open to the public and posted and held in accordance with this Act 5 ILCS 120/2C1. Collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, 5 ILCS 120/2C2. Litigation when an action against affecting or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. 5 ILCS 120/2C11.
So moved.
Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure. Ms. Grant, aye. Mr. Valtierrez?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner absent. Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Medina?
Aye.
Patterson absent. Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. We are in executive session at 5:39 p.m. Everybody's all set? Doc?
We're ready, sir.
All set? Okay, sir. Can I get a motion to reconvene the regular meeting of the Proviso Township High School Board of Education?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Graham, please call the roll.
Ms. Patterson?
Here.
Ms. Grant here. Mr. Gutierrez?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Ms. Kelly?
Reconvene.
Aye. Ms. Medina? Here. Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Yep.
Great, we have a quorum. May we please stand for a moment of silence in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Grant, can you please read the mission statement, or the vision statement, I'm sorry.
Through expectations of excellence and by providing equitable educational opportunities to empower each student, our graduates are prepared for college, careers, and to serve as contributing members of a dynamic global society.
Right. Citizens' comments. At this time, the Board of Education opens the floor for citizens' comments. When the agenda was posted for this meeting, a link for citizens to submit comments in the form of a video was provided. Please be informed that this will be our mode of operating during the pandemic. Comments that have been received will be played for the board and submitted into the record. The board will also receive public comment from any individuals present this evening and have submitted a request to address the board per the established procedures. We believe firmly that all participants in the meeting desire the best outcomes for our students, families, and communities. As a reminder, this meeting is being live streamed and will also be archived and available on the district website. Citizens' comments, Ms. Grant.
Do you want to do the video first?
Is someone here?
We actually do have someone in person for citizens' comment.
We would do the in-person ones first,
Okay,
just out of respect for those who showed up here.
sure. Then we have Mr. Peter Scheidler.
Hello again.
Hi, good evening.
Can't get
Good evening,
enough
sir.
of you. And hopefully you can't get enough of me. So, hello again. So I saw the recruitment video that was made the other day, and it has a phrase in there that Proviso offers competitive salaries. And I want to share some thoughts on that. Early on the salary schedule, that's true. But a few years into a teacher's career here, we start seeing big discrepancies. Well, they become big, but discrepancies between us and some surrounding districts. So really competitive for first-year teachers, but not so much when we get to about year 5 or so. There starts to be a pretty good size gap. So I have some ideas for what's in the contract now that you might want to change, because you're putting together your team to negotiate a new contract pretty soon, right? One thing that's in there right now, everyone around here has, is a retirement incentive that allows a teacher to declare they're going to retire and then put in a thing to lock in 6% raises. Now, how that's a money saver for the district is, suppose they were going to get a 4% raise otherwise, they'd have to work for 6 years to get up to that same level that with the retirement incentive, they only have to work for 4 years. Which means that for those next 2 years on that person making a very high salary is off your books, and you get to replace them with some younger teacher who's going to cost a lot less. So the retirement incentive is a great thing to keep. Unfortunately, some of the weirdness of our contract is actually working as a retirement disincentive. And what's happening is we have all these lanes and steps. And back in 2010, there was a 1-year contract. And so they just added the percentage to the salary schedule. Then they came back and wrote a 3-year contract, and they added 3 more steps. And then when they came back and make another contract, instead of adding steps, they put in this language that said, every teacher that's off schedule, that's not in the retirement incentive, gets the same percentage increase as everybody else. Which sounds great, but for you guys that's not real great, and the reason why is that a lot of districts around here have simple fixed dollar amount raises they give every teacher, and those range from about $2,500 to $3,500. Well, on this most recent contract that was approved in, I think, November, The smallest raises that were given were just under $1,700. The average raise for a teacher not in the retirement track was about $2,000. But the highest raise for teachers not in the retirement track was $4,200. So if you bring that $4,200 down to say $2,500 or $3,000, that frees up $1,200 that you can use to try to fill that hole and fill those gaps that exist early on in the career, in teachers' careers. So what I would suggest is that you take a look at reintroducing top-of-lane language to the Proviso teachers contract. It was always in there prior to 2010. It got taken out because of some historical stuff, and if you put it back in, it's going to wind up allowing you to fix some of the weirdness of our salary schedule. I was on the negotiating team last time around, and because we did a one-year deal, a lot of the work I did didn't really get looked at. But if you want me to meet with you again or show you some of the stuff I figured out, our salary schedule is a mess. And I got a lot of ideas for how we can fix it, and I would be happy to do that work for you for free. So anyway, top-of-lane language is something you might want to get in there to just free up some funds to help you compensate these new recruits at a way that's going to keep them around. Because remember that this retention issue is a thing. Hey, that's my bell. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for everything you do. Have a great night.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Ready for the video?
Mhm.
Good evening. First of all, let me acknowledge Mr. Alexander for taking time to respond to me and have a conversation with me regarding my concerns. I continue to welcome those conversations. After our conversation, I was still left with some concerns, and I will get straight to them. I'm still concerned that a comprehensive restructuring plan has not been presented to the community and staff. As I stated to Mr. Alexander, the information presented to the community is more of a narrative of what Dr. Henderson is doing and not a plan that shows the hows and the whys. As I also stated to Mr. Alexander, as a teacher, I'm required to produce lesson plans, unit plans, goals, objectives, etc., that show how I plan to move my students from point A to B throughout any given week, semester, or school year. That's standard. I'm reluctant to grant what has been presented to stakeholders as a restructuring plan because that implies that you're taking apart the current structure and replacing it with a better, sounder structure. Another concern is the lopsided idea of equity that has been thrown around quite a bit by this board and superintendent. I question, are you being equitable in your hiring and approaches? Under this restructuring plan, have you looked at how many Black and brown professionals you are removing? Have you looked at how many females and or minority administrators you are removing and replacing? Also, the contracts that have been awarded for IT, food, etc., have been given to minority men, not a woman in sight. If the new administration being put into place is more like a boys' club, are you truly being equitable? While it may be true that students need representation in the classroom, they also need quality educators. Many of my teachers throughout my educational life have not shared my color. The teachers that impacted me most did not share my African American ancestry, but educated me and empathized with me on the atrocities, injustices, and challenges I and others that look like me faced. Some of the teachers I encountered lacked professionalism, were uncaring, and harsh in their criticism of me and my classmates. I wish I could say that all those teachers were white. On the contrary, some of the teachers that treated me the worst and expected the least from me shared my skin color. While the color of one's skin may not be universal, empathy can be. Representation in our teaching staff is needed, but we should not sacrifice care and quality in an effort to check boxes. In closing, I would like to see less personal grandstanding and chest thumping during our BOE meetings, and more presentations by the superintendent and his team showing the community and stakeholders and staff not just his vision, but the full comprehensive plan, flow charts, narratives, supporting data, audits, assessment calendars, and program updates and reflections. I would also like to see plans and presentations that truly address how these changes will affect student progress and achievement. If this board and the superintendent want the community and staff and the students to board the train of greatness, then the train of transparency needs to run alongside it. Thank you, and have a good
evening. My name is Stephanie Andrews, and I have been a counselor at West for over 15 years. I wanted to comment on what I have learned from our board and superintendent over the past several months. I have learned that it is okay to throw things away without any consideration for restructuring and or information gathering for improvement. Our IT department are members of our community, and when our board and superintendent talk about building relationships with students, who is better at doing that than our own community members? The decision to let go of our IT department was made so quickly without any of you collecting data and analyzing information to see if there may be weaknesses and room for improvement. I have also learned that it is appropriate to air grievances in a most public forum regardless of the negative attention that is brought to your district. The inappropriate behavior at last month's meeting was unprofessional and an embarrassment for our district. There's an appropriate time and place to have these discussions, and sadly a public board meeting is not the appropriate place. I would also like to know how Proviso West is going from having 3 deans, 4 division heads, and 2 assistant principals to only having 4 assistant principals next school year. That is going from 9 professionals who work with discipline, academics, faculty, etc., to having only 4 administrators here to handle the heavy load of multiple responsibilities. Have you seen this format work in any other high schools similar in demographics to ours? If yes, I would like to know where so I can gather more information to be able to wrap my head around what next school year will look like. Lastly, I have always read that an effective leader who is in a new role should have multiple conversations with all different groups of employees to have candid conversations about where the employees see the need for improvement, along with their suggestions. I don't recall hearing about any of these forums to discuss concerns about the district or even a forum to collaborate on how to make positive changes and improvements within our district. There are dozens of effective, involved, dedicated, and loyal employees in this district who have been here for months and even years and have a keen sense and creative insights as to how we could move forward in a more positive direction. Why wasn't their expertise or advice asked for or even considered before the large and impactful decisions were made? Thank you.
In the absence of retirement and farewell send-offs, I offer this public gratitude to some of my most well-respected colleagues. First, Mr. Brandon Gale, Head of Security at PMSA. Mr. Gale's top priority has always been keeping the people inside PMSA safe. He has been steadfast in his mission. Mr. Gale's other priorities, to support the student experience and treat people with respect, are probably tied for second place. I, along with countless other teachers and sponsors, have had the privilege of working with Mr. Gale when we plan events for our students and community. He often shared ideas on how his team could help improve the experience for our students. I always looked forward to working with him. He is the gold standard in my book. His care for the kids and community and the adults in the building is second to none. More recently, Dr. Fisher has announced his immediate retirement. He was the first PMSA teacher I met as he was part of my marathon interview here. Many administrators have called on Dr. Fisher to help analyze school data. He's taught some of the most challenging classes at PMSA, including AP Calculus, AP Statistics, and IB Mathematics Years 1 and 2. He has been an unbelievable bridge for students who aspire to some of the most elite colleges in the world. Dr. Fisher was usually the first teacher in the building, often sitting in the parking lot waiting for the building to open. His intellect, humor, and care for students put him in my pantheon of human beings. Lastly, I'd like to thank Dr. Howard. Dr. Howard is one of the most capable leaders I have encountered in Proviso. She sees the goals and thoughtfully plots a path forward. She meets with faculty in response to our questions and concerns, and if anyone's ever been in a PD she led while I was in the audience, you know I often have questions. She is a real rubber meets the road lady. Learning that she was resigning was a bit like the canary in the coal mine for me. Dr. Howard is a phenomenal administrator, and my sincerest thanks to her for all of her hard work over the years. All three of these professionals have contributed to the great advances in this district. From what I understand, all turned in their paperwork earlier than they anticipated. They each went above and beyond in their service to the Proviso community. They will leave big shoes to fill, and my heart and our community will be a little less full without them. Thank you.
That concludes citizens' comments.
Oh, great. Right, okay. At this time, Ms. Grant, I believe we have the FOIA report.
In March 2021, Proviso Township High Schools District 209 received the following FOIA requests. On March 2nd, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested all research, documents, and emails in regards to teachers being asked to return to the district. All medical experts consulted and building updates made for safety for students and teachers. Information was provided in part and denied in part per legal counsel. On March 2nd, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested all documents to show compliance with the teachers' union contract, all meeting dates and meeting outcomes in regards to negotiations. Information was denied per legal counsel. On March 2nd, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested all documents pertaining to the cost analysis, all email and all documents regarding the administrative analysis for the technology plan for the district, all charts and organizational planning, and all details for the RFP that will be put out to see that there is competence in the company that is sought for the district. Information was provided in part and denied in part per legal counsel.
Nothing was provided.
On March 2nd, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested all documentation, analysis, charts, and research utilized to come up with the cancellation of all district administrators, including how did the superintendent come to this decision, what research was used, who was consulted, and all board communication in regard to this decision-making to ask all administrators to quit and reapply for their jobs. Also, who made the decision to ask all administrators to quit before the decision was presented to the board and voted on. Information was provided in part and denied in part per legal counsel. On March 2nd, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested a copy of all credit card records itemized for Dr. Henderson's school credit card for the months of November, December, January, and February. Information was provided.
No records were provided.
On March 15th, 2021, Mrs. Medina requested a copy of the audit presented by SAMEC to the district that Dr. Henderson utilized as criteria to terminate the contract of 39 administrators and outsource the IT department. She also requested the evidence of the audit being provided to all board members. She also requested the name of the software that is used for communication between the schools and to provide the name of each communication software we use with its full description and capacity of communication currently installed in the district. Information was provided. On March 3rd, 2021, Ms. Maria Maxim requested a copy of the audit reports commissioned by Dr. James Henderson, referenced during the October 13th, 2020 and February 2021 board meetings. She also requested the names and credentials and company of the people who performed the audits and the dollar amount spent on each audit. Information was provided. On March 8th, 2021, Ms. Maria Maxim requested a copy of 3 written competitive quotations received by District 209 prior to deciding to use SAMEC Technology, a company being paid $16,000 by the district and included in the District 209 list of invoices presented in the March 9th board meeting packet, or a written statement from the administrator approving the purchase verifying that the chosen vendor is the sole source of the services provided, and a copy of the 3 written competitive quotations received by District 209 prior to deciding to use the services of Ernest Clark and an individual company being paid $7,500 by the district and included in the D209 list of invoices presented in the March 9th board meeting packet, or a written statement from the administrator approving the purchase verifying that the chosen vendor is the sole source of services provided. Information was provided. On March 15th, 2021, Ms. Maxim requested a copy of the email or communication from January 30th, 2021, through which Dr. James Henderson supplied the transition audit report to the District 209 Board of Education members. Information was provided. On March 2nd, 2021, Ms. Heidi Holloway requested a copy of the previous bid proposal results for custodial services, current monthly cost and annual cost, and a copy of the current custodial contract. Information was provided. On March 2nd, 2021, Mr. John Colbert requested a copy of the IT audit done in late 2020, IT report drafted in 2020, and the IT report that was drafted in 2021. Information was provided. On March 2nd, 2021, Mr. John Colbert requested all invoices given by SAMAC Incorporated in 2020 and all invoices given by SAMAC Incorporated in 2021. Information was provided. On March 2nd, 2021, Mr. John Colbert requested all emails between Dr. Henderson and SAMAC from October through December 2020, all proposals given by SAMAC Incorporated in 2020, 2021, and all emails between Nicole Wilson and SAMAC Incorporated in 2020 through 2021. Information was provided. On March 3rd, 2021, Mr. Fred Francois requested contracts, bids, and records of payments related to the IT audit as described in the October 13th, 2020 Board of Education regular meeting. Contracts, bids, and records of payments between August 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021 involving SAMAC Incorporated based in Durant, Mississippi, and any records related to instructions to district staff to work with employees of SAMAC Incorporated, including emails to from school addresses and address at samacweb.com in the time period between August 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021. Emails to from school addresses containing the word SAMAC in the email subject or body during the time period between August 1st, 2020 and January 31st, 2021. Information was provided. On March 3rd, 2021, Mayor Katrina Thompson requested Superintendent James Henderson's employment contract, full description of the structuring and or restructuring plan presented to the Board of Education for the administration and IT departments, the full audit conducted by SAMAC Incorporated, all findings about District 209 regarding the financial findings as well as IT department findings, and any and all invoices paid to SAMAC Incorporated and the SAMAC Incorporated vendor contract. Information was provided. On March 4th, 2021, Ms. Carissa Gillespie requested documentation, presentations, records, audits, and data analysis, etc. Information was provided. On March 4th, 2021, Ms. Carissa Gillespie requested documentation, presentations regarding audits of the special education, including PACE, transportation, administration, food sources, and instructional technology. Information was provided. On March 10th, 2021, Mr. Brett Pervick requested the BOE President Alexander's questions regarding increased student transportation costs and the research requested by him as referenced in the minutes at item 11 of the Board of Education Finance and Facility meeting on August 31st, 2020. Action item 14D, approval to bring student transportation in district on the agenda of the special meeting of the Board of Education on February 27, 2021. Any discussion, consideration, deliberation, analysis, or evaluation of the Board of Education or any of its members in relation to bringing student transportation in district from August 1st, 2019 through the present, including without limitation at the January retreat, which was referenced in the February 27, 2021 special meeting of the Board of Education. The planning, consideration, deliberation, analysis, discussion, evaluation, and or decision to resume student transportation for this semester beginning on February 22nd, 2021. All information and materials solicited, evaluated, reviewed, analyzed by, received, provided to, or otherwise considered by the superintendent and or his staff from August 1st, 2019 through the present in relation to bringing student transportation in district, such as, without limitation, any reports, presentations, bids, offers, solicitations, requests for proposals, communications, and emails, thank you so much, whether internal to the district or involving external parties, including without limitation any consultants or prospective contractors, and all information and materials solicited, evaluated, reviewed, analyzed by, received, provided to, or otherwise considered by Board of Education President Alexander and or his staff from August 1st, 2019 through the present in relation to bringing student transportation in districts, such as, without limitation, any reports, presentations, bids, offers, solicitations, requests for proposals, communications, and emails, whether internal to the district or involving any external parties, including without limitation any consultants or prospective contractors. Information was provided. On March 15th, 2021, Ms. Maggie Riley requested a list of the coaching positions that are currently running for the 2020 to 2021 school year. She asked for which positions are interim and which positions are not interim. Information was provided, and that concludes the FOIA report.
Thank you.
I want to address some of this stuff.
Yes, Ms. Patterson.
That was a pretty long FOIA. I want the public to understand that board members do not have to request FOIAs. It has always been the position of the superintendent to possibly put out an RFP for IT, possibly, potentially. People, I want you to pay attention to some of the words that were used in this FOIA. It's concerning to me because it's misinformation. All administrators were not asked to quit. See, the word quit means I push you to a point. To quit their jobs and reapply for their jobs as the FOIA read. Quit their jobs, reapply for their jobs. Listening, reading is fundamental. Quit their job and reapply for their job as the FOIA read. That doesn't make sense. The superintendent and the Board of Education agreed with the superintendent for a restructure, reorganization, whatever word you choose to listen at. All administrators were afforded an opportunity to reapply for a position if they so chose to. The superintendent made recommendations to the Board of Education, at which point the board either voted up or vote down the recommendation. Mr. Starking, is he here? Huh? Could you have him come in? I have a question for him. This board has worked extremely hard to move the district forward. We cannot be sidetracked by nonsense. This is ludicrous. I believe in good government. I believe in FOIA, but every board member that's sitting here has all of this information. Until Mr. Starking gets back, I'll continue. An audit were given to all Board of Education members. I repeat, 39 administrators' contracts were not terminated. Let the record reflect, administrators' contract is for 1 year. 39 administrators' contracts were not terminated. They're only for 1 year. The possibility or potential of a request for proposal for the IT department is just that. Please let me be clear. Misinformation was put out via social media and a current sitting Board of Education member. If my mind serves me correctly, 3 administrators in the IT department, 3 administrators in the IT department, not one other employee. Not one other employee. So when you use words such as they got rid of the entire IT department, that's not true. Those administrators in the IT department was afforded an opportunity as the other administrators to reapply for a position. When I see words such as dismantling the backbone of the district, well, we're still in business. School hasn't closed. We have run the district successfully during this pandemic. I don't see where it's dismantled. Dismantling the business office and the IT department. Last time I checked, the business office had 11 employees. 3 employees have chose to move on. The business department has 8 employees, if my mind serves me correctly. So guess what? The business office has not been dismantled, people. I said then, I stand by it now. Our software do not. I didn't just come to District 209. It's been like that for years. I'm not telling you something I heard, I'm telling you something that I know. East does not communicate with West, West don't communicate with East, PMSA. I don't care how we try to dress it up. It's always been an issue, always.
Blackboard communicates with all. We've had
Let
that
me,
for quite a while.
Mr. Starking, I have a question for you. Is it normal and customary for a superintendent of schools to have a district credit card?
Yes,
Okay.
in my experience, yes.
Did the former superintendent of District 209 have a credit card, district credit card?
Yes.
Dr. Henderson, do you have a district credit card?
No, I do not.
You do not have a district credit card.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm just addressing some of the stuff that I've seen in this FOIA. And I'm just trying to understand why it's good for some and not all. Let me be clear. Any text, I love this saying, any text taken out of context is pretext, which is no text. Any text taken out of context is pretext, which is no text. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may
No,
respond to that.
you
Thank
may not.
I
No, you may not. Listen, Mrs. Medina, please. We have new
Here's
business.
an audit.
No,
May I please respond?
no, you cannot.
Well, why do you give one board member?
Listen, I had no idea what Miss Patterson was about to
And
do.
you
You
have
can
no idea
respond at
what
the
I'm gonna
appropriate time.
So then just,
Excuse me.
Could I please for 1
I
minute?
just said, okay,
Thank
so
you.
you're gonna make me
Can
say
I-
no again?
Can I hang this out then?
No, you cannot.
I'll hand this out to each one of you.
No, you can't. So you're gonna do what you wanna do anyway.
Yeah, this is the
Okay.
2019 audit,
Watch this, Miss Medina.
and this was for, the admin, this is the.
If I could
effect
tear it, I
of the
would.
admin-
You're just gonna run the meeting, huh, Miss Medina?
No, just, it's
You're gonna do what
information
you
that
wanna
all
do.
board members should have,
Okay.
that all of the measures that were taken on February 27th.
Miss Medina, you are not, you're out of order.
Right.
You are out of order.
Rodney, Rodney,
I know, you are out of order. Excuse me, board, excuse me, board,
The
before I reset.
2019 audit.
Excuse me, Miss Medina. Really?
Yeah, really.
We already have this.
Oh, good, I'm glad.
Hold on, Miss Kelly.
That one
We
came
have-
out on March
excuse me,
21st.
Excuse me, Miss Medina, really?
Gave it to us.
Good.
Really? I'm gonna continue. Hold your comments for new business, Miss Medina. I had no idea what, Ms. Patterson requested the floor.
well, I can't, as a
will not-
board member, continue to sit here. I've had so many people contact me in this community.
Yes.
I represent the people,
Yes.
and I was asked to address this because the lies
It's
have
been
to stop.
addressed, it's been addressed,
Such as
Ms.
this.
Patterson. Duly
Okay.
noted for the record. Thank you. President's report. Good evening, Proviso. For the record, I'm not a diabetic, so if you see me consuming lots of sugar up here, when I'm thinking I need sugar. As you can see, this meeting has started off pretty lively already, and the passions are duly noted. I want to say thank you to the community. First of all, on April 6th, the community sounded resoundingly a vote of support for Board Member Della Patterson, Board Member Sam Valtierrez, Board Member Amanda Grant, and Board Member Rodney Alexander. And even though the race was non-contested, you still didn't have to vote for us, but you did, and you did in overwhelming numbers, which is a vote of confidence, and I want you to know from the bottom of our heart, we appreciate it, and we will continue to do the heavy lifting and required work to make sure that these schools deliver on your taxpayer dollars and the education for our scholars. So thank you very much. I want to thank my fellow board members once again for your tireless work and effort, for your unification, for your support of the district's work. Each and every one of you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. The democratic process in this country is not half as bad up here as we've seen in the country sometimes. But it is passionate discourse, sometimes disagreement, but make no doubt about it. I believe everyone sitting up here, and I mean everyone, desires what's best for our students and our scholars. I believe that. Some of us just disagree on what that is or how to get there. And with 7 different people, I should hope that that's the case sometimes. But we try to be as respectful of your time and your tax dollars, and especially your vote. So thank you once again to my fellow board members who have been fielding calls from community members and answering community meetings into the wee hours of the night to try to set the record straight. and to make sure, as Ms. Patterson says, that the truth of what's going on in our district holds the day and not the falsehoods. I want to thank Dr. Henderson. Since he's hit the floor, he's been working tirelessly to make sure that he addresses the desires and wishes of this board. Nothing more, nothing less. I would say to anyone in this district that has a problem with Dr. Henderson, you have a problem with this board. But I know that not to be the case because on April 6th, you really elected 4 of us. So I understand that there may be a small contingent in this community that either does not understand, has not taken the time to call and ask, or just doesn't want to see change or anything more than 13% or 16% proficiency for our students. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're talking about, people, is increasing or improving the outcomes for our students. So anyone that would have a problem with that, you need to pick up the phone and call Board President Rodney Alexander or Citizen Rodney Alexander, and we need to have a talk. My number is on my business card. You can get it from the 5th floor, my personal number. If there's any confusion as to what we're doing, you can reach me anytime, and I will clarify as much as possible, and what I cannot, I will send you to the proper channels to do so. But there's no reason for all of the slander. There's no reason for all of the ugliness. All we're trying to do as a board is to continue to deliver on what we did the first 4 years, some of us 6, and that's nothing but wins for this district, nothing but moving this district forward and addressing age-old, decade-old systematic problems that we've done in great timing, Ms. Kelly, on some of them. This one may take a little bit more time. So I want to thank my board members for that. Thank the staff and the administration that have been working tirelessly with Dr. Henderson to make sure that these transitions and these changes go through. I know it's uncomfortable for some people. It can be unnerving. I've talked to plenty of teachers and a few administrators and tried to explain some of the things and answer some of the questions from the board's perspective. But make no doubt about it, we've charged Dr. Henderson and hired him to do a job, and we plan to support him and make sure that he sees that through. Thank the teachers that have been working through this pandemic tirelessly, to make sure that our scholars still learn. Those that are dedicating themselves to coming into these buildings and risking their safety and their health to make sure that they provide the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our scholars. Don't think that that is going unnoticed by this board. We appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts and your dedication to our scholars. Thank you to the staff, the security, the custodians that make sure that our buildings are up to code and cleaned, even though we don't have a full population of students here, that are still making sure that we're within code and that the health concerns and everything are being taken care of during this pandemic. I would imagine being a custodian now is a little bit different than it was a year ago. Thank you so much. I want to read for a moment Board Policy 2130, so we can have an understanding as a community what it is that the board's job really is. Because during some of the communications and things that I've had with the public, it's apparent to me that some of us don't have a full understanding of what the board's job is versus what the board's job is not. Policy manual, and this is listed on the district website under Board of Education Policy Manual. You can read it for yourself. Let me see if I have it here. All right, saved it. And it went back, let me find it. But it's Board Policy 2130. And it talks about the, let me pull it up, it talks about the board relationship with the superintendent. And I thought it was important to read this so that we would understand the next part of my report. Board Policy 2130, Board Superintendent Relationship. The Board of Education employs and evaluates the superintendent and holds him or her responsible for the operation of the district in accordance with the board policies and state and federal law. It's very important, public, that we understand our role as a board to our one employee, the superintendent. One of the most important, if not the most important things that this board does is to hire the one person that deals with the day-to-day, future planning, vision, mission, wants, desires, best interests, all of the above of the district, the members of the district, our scholars, our staff, our employees, everything. The board does none of that. We are responsible for none of that. Okay, we hire someone as a whole to do that. The board superintendent relationship is based on mutual respect for their complementary roles. 2 separate roles. Mutual respect. The relationship requires clear communication of expectations regarding the duties and responsibilities of both the board and superintendent. The board considers the recommendations of the superintendent as the district's chief executive officer. The board adopts policies necessary to provide general direction for the district and to encourage achievement of district goals. The superintendent develops plans, programs, and procedures needed to implement the policies and directs the district's operations. Now, that's about 3 small paragraphs, just a few sentences. Board Policy 2-130. So when folks have a question as to what our responsibility is as a board on today as a whole, especially as individual board members as it relates to our oath of office, it's good to know the policy, because you have some board members that would purport or think that they can oversee or that they can do something in and amongst themselves to change the wishes of the board as a whole, and that's just not true. I would venture to say that if I decided to do anything on my own, have a problem with anything on my own, I would be a very ineffective board member if I could not convince at an open meeting, without any shenanigans or behind-the-scenes non-transparent motives or moves, 3 other board members to vote the same way. It's very important, Proviso, that you understand how your board works and how it doesn't work, so that you're not strung along or led down the wrong line of inquiry. We're transparent to a fault. You see, we will go back and forth when we don't agree. We don't hide too much of anything up here, except for the stuff that we have to legally, and that's not hiding, that's just obeying the law. Some board members don't even do that. But we have to continue to understand what we're doing foundationally as a board. Since Dr. Henderson has gotten here, we've had nothing but wins, nothing but wins. And I'm going to say this to the public, and it bears repeating because I don't think you understand. A few weeks ago, the governor of the very state of Illinois chose our backdrop to introduce into law the Education and Equity Workforce Act. He could have chosen any school in the entire state of Illinois. I want you to hear me. He didn't have to come here. There's a bunch of schools between here and Springfield. He could have stayed in Springfield, but he chose Proviso. And I'm going to tell you why I think he did. The first ever, in its 100+ years history, African-American Speaker of the House for the state of Illinois is a Proviso West graduate. The leader of the Senate is a Proviso East graduate. And along with that leadership of the Senate, she's also the co-author, or author of the our Equity and Workforce Education Act bill. And I'm not saying it right, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That's a win. I believe before any politician would dare to come to any school, they would do some homework. They have teams that do this type of stuff, and they're going to vet and see what the climate is there. How's that school? And do you think that the governor of Illinois would show up at a school district that was in disarray or being dismantled, or was in any type of discrepancy or had any types of problems? That is a historic bill that will forever be in this state remembered for being signed right here in your district. He chose Proviso. About another week ago, we had another historic event, and I know for a fact that Dr. Henderson has been working tirelessly to get this one done since he got here. I've been on some phone calls with him talking to the Cook County Department of Health, trying to make sure that what we saw happen a couple of Fridays ago took place on the 31st of March. Speaker of the House Chris Welch and Walgreens partnered with Proviso Township District 209 to deliver the largest Walgreens-sponsored event of vaccinations to this date. 3,400 people were vaccinated right here in Proviso Township High School's District 209. Listen, folks, the proof is in the production and things that we're doing, not in the rumors and innuendos. Speaker of the House could have taken that program anywhere. Could have taken those vaccines anywhere. Could have delivered them to some communities that may be even a little bit more needy than us. Once again, they chose Proviso's backdrop because of the work that this board and administration and you all, as employees here, have consistently done over the last 4 and 6 years to change the direction of this school district. So when people are slamming and talking bad about our school district and stuff, I just remind them of the facts. You would have to say we have Governor Pritzker in our pocket, and we're just tied to Springfield. You would have to say that Speaker of the House, Chris Welch, who the majority of us at one point in time may have had an issue with, all of a sudden now is our best friend and just loves us to death and ain't got nothing better to do with his time and efforts than to come back here to where most of the board members at one point in time had an issue with him. Not the case. People want to be a part of a winning team. They want to come where they can look at the record and see what's being done and say, hey, listen, let's go over there and partner with those folks. Make no doubt about it. All of the things, I would say every single last one of them that has been said about our well-qualified, over-accomplished superintendent are lies. They've all been debunked. None of them are true. And it's unfortunate because while we as adults sit back and have our pity parties and go back and forth wasting administration time on frivolous arguments, where are the children in that argument? Where are the scholars? It's amazing how people can say to me they care about children and comport themselves in such ways that you would never advise your very own child to do. Behave in such ways that you would never, ever expect children to do. So we came up with a plan. I did, and I ran it by Dr. Henderson, because I want the community to be clear that as you have voted and elected us again for 4 more years, I want you to be clear where this board stands as it relates to our one employee. So we put it in writing, and I asked board members to sign it, because I wanted to send a clear message to this district that this board stands behind Dr. Henderson 100%. It doesn't matter what 1 or 2 board members say or do. They're not the board. The board is a quorum of at least 4. That's what sets the tone for this board and gets things done. I may not vote, but it doesn't matter. I could get up and walk out of here right now. Ms. Kelly could continue this meeting without me. Facts. They don't need me up here right now to conduct the district's business. And the community needs to know that. So if any one board member feels that they are that important, that they can disrupt the meeting or put out, I just don't understand. It's ineffective. It's not good. You can't get anything done. It's impossible. You can't do it. Vote of confidence and resolution of support for James L. Henderson, EDD, Proviso Township High School District 209 Superintendent. Whereas Proviso Township High School District 209 is committed to delivering a high-quality education to every student in every classroom, every day, and ensuring that they are prepared to pursue advanced degrees or enter the workforce. And whereas Proviso Township High School District 209 must take appropriate measures to hold itself accountable for student performance metrics and make adjustments when the data suggests it is not meeting satisfactory targets. And whereas the Board of Education unanimously hired James L. Henderson, EDD, to lead the district to the next levels of academic achievement, identify opportunities that sharpen student skills, expand student exposure, and ensure students are equipped with tools to stand among the best and the brightest globally. And whereas the Board of Education maintains the expectation that James L. Henderson, EDD, will build upon the successes of previous administrations while making critical operation adjustments to achieve outcomes that enhance teaching and learning. And whereas the Board of Education recognizes that improving outcomes for PTHS District 209 students, staff, and families requires an internal look at current performance, which exposes areas of strength and opportunity. And whereas the Board of Education instructed James L. Henderson, EDD, to conduct comprehensive analysis of district operations, finances, technology, and academic performance to make recommendations that will lead to 21st century innovation and ensure PTHS District 209 students, facilities, and scholastic metrics exceed current performance. And whereas the Board of Education acknowledges that James L. Henderson, EDD, is performing the requested analysis with transparency and has uncovered very hard truths about current operations, technology, and academic performance. And whereas current data on file with the state's Board of Education indicates that 13% of the student population is proficient in math, 13% is proficient in science, and 16% is proficient in English language arts, the board recognizes this is a hard truth that all Proviso Township High School District 209 stakeholders must acknowledge, and it highlights the need for significant changes to classroom and administrative dynamics. And whereas current software systems and technology platforms are antiquated and do not have adequate access points to accommodate future growth and expansion, the system's slow production as they do not sync or share information, which requires staff to consult multiple programs in order to prepare student profiles, compile data, and perform critical research. And whereas current operations such as food services and transportation require attention as they are costly but deliver unsatisfactory results. Now therefore be it resolved. The Board of Education declares that James L. Henderson, EDD, is a competent leader who has been chosen for such a time as this to lead Proviso through a pandemic, navigate the rough terrain associated with transformation, and set our students on a path to increased academic achievement. And be it further resolved that in just 6 months, James L. Henderson, EDD, has ensured financial solvency and identified $9.5 million in cost savings and corrected departmental procedures and internal financial control measures. Be it further resolved, James L. Henderson, EDD, has steered the district through a pandemic and advised the Board of Education against temporary and permanent layoffs to ensure teachers and staff maintain financial stability during uncertain times. Be it further resolved, James L. Henderson, EDD, has worked aggressively to secure COVID-19 vaccinations for Proviso Township High School's District 209 staff to limit the risks of viral exposure and establish a safe environment for in-person teaching and learning. Be it further resolved, James L. Henderson, EDD, has demonstrated a commitment to invest in the teacher workforce and bring increased diversity to classrooms across the district, increasing minority representation and more closely aligning the teacher-student demographics. Be it further resolved, James L. Henderson, EDD, has demonstrated care and concern for the whole student and has a focused goal of making sure students who have a designated disability have access to academic programming that leads to a high school diploma, as well as enhanced social and emotional development that supports success in the real world. Be it further resolved, James L. Henderson, EDD, has partnered with and supplied local food banks with meals over holidays and school breaks to ensure students who rely on the district for daily meals are not left hungry. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education trusts wholly that James L. Henderson, EDD, will continue to maintain the highest degree of integrity while working on behalf of and making decisions that represent the best interests of all Proviso Township High School's District 209 students, families, teachers, and staff. And be it further resolved that James L. Henderson, EDD, has carefully crafted a thoughtful, coherent approach in an unprecedented manner to leading professional learning opportunities for both the operations and academic leadership in the district, with the implementation of bi-weekly communities of practice where thought leaders come together to drive strategies focused on equity and excellence. Be it further resolved that James L. Henderson, EDD, has framed the leadership work through the lens of equity, which is driving district-wide initiatives and practices to ensure there is a fair and equitable approach. For example, James L. Henderson, EDD, has increased its access to the SAT prep program for students in Proviso East and Proviso West and Proviso Math and Science Academy, with the goal of positively impacting student outcomes. Be it further resolved that James L. Henderson, EDD, has outlined a thoughtful strategic framework to address student achievement gaps and deficiencies within the district, and he has consulted the Board of Education before making operational adjustments. And be it further resolved that James L. Henderson, EDD, is working to be transparent with teachers, staff, and the community about intended operational adjustments by making plans available during public Board of Education meetings prior to execution. Be it further resolved that the PGHS District 209 Board of Education fully supports James L. Henderson, EDD. It will not tie his hands or lock him into operating under the policies and procedures implemented during a previous administration. Rather, it will afford James L. Henderson, EDD, the opportunity to integrate proven teaching, learning, and operational measures aimed at improving the trajectory of the district. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education will continue to stand alongside James L. Henderson, EDD, aboard the northbound train to greatness. Signed, Board President Rodney Alexander, Board Vice President Teresa Kelly, Board Member Sam Valtierrez, Board Member Ned Wagner, and Board Member Della Patterson.
The record is an F and financial mismanagement.
Excuse me, Miss Medina, would you please stop disrupting my meeting?
It's our meeting.
I have the floor though, and I'm the president and I conduct the meeting, so you're disrupting my meeting at this time, man. You'll be given an opportunity to speak. Make no doubt about it. 5 out of 2 board members signed this resolution. I believe the other board member that did not sign still supports Dr. Henderson in her own way. We have a 6-to-1 board, people. Doesn't get any better than that. So when you're hearing these things floating around or doing whatever, just pick up the phone and call. Dr. Henderson has his phone number listed on the district website. He has put aside time to address any and all concerns that the community may have. He's made himself available. We have dispelled and disproven just about every allegation that has been brought against him. Those that are fictitious and those that may even appear to have some merit or mischaracterized, they've all been put to rest. So there's no reason to continue with that. We're going to move forward. I will continue to request of the board and challenge the board that each and every one of us, as pro-fight board members now, turn our sights towards policy. As I read in the board policy and our role and responsibility, that's where we operate from. So if there are some concerns, we need to look at our own policies that direct those concerns. Policies and policies alone. Because that's how we operate and give direction and support to the superintendent. So moving forward, we're going to probably be trying to put together some work or do some things around those endeavors. Lastly, a Set the Record Straight was posted on the district website at my request to deal with some of the mischaracterizations and some of the slandering things that have been put out there. Make no doubt about it. None of us wants to go to work and have to deal with what Dr. Henderson deals with. It's amazing to me how people can claim to be officials or in any type of leadership position and want respect and not get it. I would quit my job tomorrow if I had to work under the conditions that Dr. Henderson has to work under every day. And then people still have the nerve to want to hold him accountable. Teachers have unions. Everyone else has these types of safety nets in case they're mistreated. Dr. Henderson has to go get a lawyer and pay his own fees and go through all of that stuff if in fact something's not done where we can represent him. But it's an unfortunate and unnecessary work environment for someone that's only been here for 7 months and has honestly given you every win that I've read on there. None of that is made up. They're all facts. So to be treated the way that he's been treated can only be one thing and one thing alone. He hasn't been here long enough to really make anyone mad. He's only doing what the board says. And we know as of April 6th that the community doesn't have a problem with what the board says because you elected us again. So therefore, the little peanut gallery that is trying to give this man hell really needs to stop. You really need to stop. You're going against the very community that you live in. The community has spoken, not Rodney Alexander. I sit here at the behest of the community, and they spoke. So to continue to fight against this board is to fight against your very community. Get on the train, there's room. We still got a couple of seats, Dr. Henderson?
Yes, sir.
Come on over. Come on over and ride with us. Because all we're trying to do is improve outcomes for students. You think we were trying to hire somebody or steal something? None of that is going on and has not gone on. Dr. Henderson, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Board President, Vice President, Secretary, board members. Let me say thank you for your vote of confidence. I promise to deliver on the promise of educating, taking care of every child in this district. And with my team, it shall happen. So this evening, we're not going to have a skunk fight. Moving forward, we will not have a skunk fight. Because when you get in a skunk fight, you come out smelling like the skunk. That's not who I am. We're going to move forward to get the work done for the families and children of Proviso. Ms. Medina, I forgive you. Now, to business. This evening, we want to recognize our very own employees. So let's get started with Dr. Nicole Howard, our Assistant Superintendent for Academics and Family Services, has been selected to serve on the Teacher and Leadership Effectiveness Committee of the Illinois State Department of Education. Put your hands together for Dr. Howard. This committee aims to draft updated legislation, for the Illinois Principals and Teacher Mentoring Programs in an effort to increase teacher retention, accelerate the professional learning for novice teachers and leaders, and improve student achievement. We want to say thank you, Dr. Howard, and congratulations. We recognize and celebrate your success. Please come forward. On behalf of our board president and the board members, we want to say thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you. Thank you for what you've done.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay, this is the first time I'm at a loss for words. You know, I really don't know what to say. I wasn't expecting this at all. I'm really surprised, and I'm very grateful to be recognized. I'm grateful to be able to serve on this committee, and very thankful for my time here and the things we were able to accomplish. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Doc.
All right, our second recognition this evening is for Miss Megan Delaney. Miss Delaney is an instructional coach at Proviso East and has served our district well for over 15 years. She has just had an article published in the Marzano's Academics website, or Academy's website, shall I say. Her article, Cumulative Review and Collective Responsibility, focuses on guiding the work at Proviso East with our professional learning communities, professional development, and classroom instruction. You can visit the Marzano Academy's website to read her article. Congratulations, and we recognize and celebrate your success, Ms. Delaney.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henderson, and our 209 school board. I just want to extend that thank you, if it's okay, to our Proviso East staff, faculty, admin, students, parents, our community of support, our teachers. One of the things I wrote about was collective responsibility, and it's an indicator of the Marzano Academy. And it's so important because it guides us with this idea that no matter what you teach or what students are assigned your roster or what your role is in a school, we all share in that importance of guiding student outcomes. So I wanted to make sure that I thank the entire Pirate Nation, and I really hope that the writing of this article will inspire others to share our journeys, whether it's like the beauty of our community or the strength and talent of our students and innovation and dedication of our staff. I think we have a lot to say and people will be inspired by our journey. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so very much. And now to our community. We want to send our thoughts to the parents of students who attend St. Joseph High School. We know the news of your school's closure is difficult to bear. It's only natural that you are wondering what's next for your child. Families, we want you to know that we are here for you. You and your student belong here. Our teachers stand ready to nurture the gifts inside your child. Give them hands-on training that will lead to promising careers in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, manufacturing, culinary arts, CTE, communication, and so much more. We will be hosting an open house next Thursday just for you, April 22nd. Our team will be ready for hands-on to offer you tours of our world-class educational spaces and give you more insight on the academics, athletics, extracurricular programs we have available for your child. The details about the opening house will be posted on our website tomorrow morning. We invite you to join us because you belong here in Proviso. Lastly, I want to say to my teachers, my teachers, I'm going to be selfish. No, we hadn't always agreed, but we will always come together for the good of children. That's why you do what you do, and we do what we do. We're going to work in tandem to move this district forward. Tomorrow morning, I have my first meeting with our PTU. We'll be meeting for about an hour and a half so that we all will be on that northbound train together. This is a give and take work, community. And I promise you, community, we're going to work on behalf of your child. That's the only reason we exist, because of you. And teachers, staff, we must come together as one. I want to thank you again, board, for all that you do, for your volunteering. Free, I may add. We thank you. We thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to working with my board. Selfish, my board. Thank you all so very much. We'll get started with our presentations this evening. Mr. Paul Stark-King.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
I have the pleasure of presenting first from the staff, and I'm told it's because I generally have good news, so, and I'm pleased to do that. The 8-month financial report is in your information packet. It's a little difficult for you to see from here, but I call it the blue report. It's our one-pager that is a great snapshot for the board to follow the financial results of the district. I wanted to point out a few things to you. It's 8 months. At 9 months, I'll make sure in your financial report is the the year-over-year analysis that I've started to provide you, and you'll have that in your packet next month. We are at 55% of revenues, even though we're 8 months in. That sounds like it's a little bit behind, but it is typical of school districts with levies. The levy season is upon us. We'll start collecting that money, and that will accelerate and catch up and get us into our full year expected revenue collections. More on that in the quarterly report. I wanted to point out a couple things down in the expenditure, lower third, 2/3 of this. In the debt service column, we are at 80% of our debt service. That's in June, there is one more debt service payment, and that brings us to 100%. The next big, and it's really the elephant on the report, is our capital projects fund. It's 63 million. That's what takes us to 163 million of expenditures versus our normal 100 million of expenditures. We have spent $19 million through the 8 months of this fiscal year for this year's work on the facility master plan. I had budgeted 52 million because I'm aspirational in terms of being able to get these projects done, and I wanted to be able to pay for those projects within budget had we been able to move them forward. But that would have been much faster than expected. We are right on schedule for that. I want to point out too that if you look at the 19 million and the 52 million, that means 33 million is going to be rolling over to next year. So we'll have that 33 million plus some more. It's really this summer's work is expected to be around 33 million, I think, isn't it, LT? Yeah. So I wanted to point that out to you, and then our estimated fund balance at 8 months is right at 88 million. It's the lower right-hand corner. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
One Good question, Mr. Starkey. Based upon our projected fund balance and the skew that we had initially when all this started, how are we looking?
It's a little hard to evaluate that mid-year, because that report is really designed to be at the fiscal year ends.
Gotcha,
So we'll have more on that in a few months.
gotcha, thank you.
We have two action items tonight. The bill list, April bill list is presented for approval. Anyone have any questions around the bill list?
Well, I have a question in regards to Walker Quality Foods.
Yes, ma'am.
So what date was that RFP put out?
It was not required to be an RFP.
We always had our food services, we always had an RFP.
It's not food service, it's food service consulting.
Okay, what's the difference between consulting and food service? Because if
Well,
I'm
the
hearing of
food service-
consulting, I'm thinking,
Food service, I would say, is Sodexo, and it's the production of food and presentation of the food to the students, menus, etc.
okay.
Ms. Medina, I was going to address that during my presentation, but Walker Quality Services is a consultant who, in our transition from outsourced or third-party provider for food service and food service management, is going to be assisting us in bringing that in-house. So,
Okay, but the owner, Mr. Alfred Walker, is a good friend of Dr. Henderson's from Texas.
Point of order, that is not
So-
true.
So
That
how
is
is
not
that
true.
consultant, is there, how did we put a,
I guess the president.
how did we make that determination for that to be given to Mr. Walker?
You have to be an effective board member that can get 3 votes to do so, Ms. Medina, and you don't have that.
I'm asking right now.
You can't ask him. I just told you. You need 3 votes from your board to do that, ma'am.
No,
You don't
that's to put it
have
on the, that's to put it on the, to the next.
Ma'am, to answer your question,
Mr.
to stop the
Mr.
process,
Gleason?
you need 3 votes. You don't have them.
Mr. Gleason, can I ask questions about the contract that we're about to
Ms.
approve?
Medina, Mr. Gleason doesn't run this meeting,
Mr.
ma'am.
Gleason, I'm sorry, as a board member, do I have the right to ask a question about a contract that we're just about to approve?
Ask your question, Ms. Medina.
When there's a motion and a second, the chairperson of the meeting, Mr. Alexander, will allow discussion. While discussion is ongoing, you can ask questions and make statements until the floor is closed for discussion. So at that point, yes, when there's a motion and a second and the chairperson of the meeting calls for discussion, you can ask questions and have discussion.
So I'm asking questions now, can I
There's no
ask a
motion on-
question?
There's no motion on the floor, Ms. Medina.
We don't have a motion, we're on the report.
You asked him a question, he answered it.
No, yes or no? Was there anything put out for the consultant to be approved?
I think
so this was considered a professional service, and if you look in the action item, we indicate or reference the board policy that describes that professional services are exempt from the bidding requirements. So there were 3 different quotations that were received and evaluated, and the recommendation is for Walker Quality Services to provide these services to the district.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Yes, sir.
Other questions on the bill list?
Yeah. On the bill list. AT&T. I was never gotten back to last time that we had 21,729, and it just says phone. Then there's 3,136 for a total of 45,631. So I need to understand why we're paying so much to AT&T, because I'm not understanding why it's so expensive, and why one specific phone has 21,729. Because it only says phone here, and it says AT&T. So I'm not understanding why.
Well, allow me to research the issue, but I do believe off the top of my head that is part of our digital equity grant, which is to provide hotspots and phones to families to be able to connect to. But if I'm wrong, I'll be corrected and I'll get that back to you.
Okay, because there's quite a few, 3,136, 1,145, 1,015. It just seems like it's such a long list, and there was no description as to what that was about. The teacher recruitment billboard that went out was for $17,117.43. doesn't that need to have board approval before we go out, because that's over 5,000, or a bid, or an RFP?
Over 5,000 to 25,000 requires 3 quotes.
Okay, did we get 3 quotes?
We got 3 quotes.
Okay. The corporate MasterCard, again, is $8,842 this month. So who, if Dr. Henderson doesn't have a credit card, who is it that has the credit card, and how is it that works? Because we used to get itemized listings on the credit card, and now we don't. We just get corporate credit card.
Right.
And why was that changed?
So when we changed our credit card process, we greatly reduced the number of credit cards that were issued at Dr. Henderson's request to principals, various other offices, not very many. I think it's probably less than 20 credit cards. Then what was happening when I got here, we had $170,000 worth of unpaid credit cards. We have caught up on that. What we are doing, once we got that problem, on top of that problem, got it solved, and we're confident in the process that we would be receiving receipts and everything. A lot of that was because we weren't receiving receipts, so now we are.
Prior to
my getting here, and a lot of work Tracy Miller did, etc. We are now confident, and we're paying the MasterCard bill when we receive it. So we diminish our late payment fees and things like that. Then what happens is, and it's elsewhere on your report, a check is cut to Proviso from Proviso. Okay, so it's a net wash. You wonder why we would do that. Well, we do that in order to detail out what that credit card bill is. So it's not there under MasterCard, but it's there under Proviso.
So that's all the restaurant charges?
That's what that is.
Okay.
It's restaurant charges among it, but not all of it.
There's just a lot of restaurant charges. Okay.
Right.
All right. The other question that I had was in regards to Deborah Antoine. My understanding that's another friend from Holmes County, from Dr. Henderson. She was in a
Ms. Medina, point of order. I'm going to ask one time. Hold on. Excuse me. Ms. Medina. Mr. Sargent, you don't have to answer that. Miss Medina, I'm over here.
Isn't the business
He's not going to answer you, Miss Medina.
Is the business office in charge of creating the compensation manual?
Excuse me, public. At this time, I'm going to call a recess. Can we stop? At 8:50. Let me know when we're off.
Switch those cables.
Yeah. We're up, Mr. Sanders.
We're back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No?
No, she's not ready yet.
We're not? Okay, Amanda's not ready yet.
Can you mute it again?
You mute us again?
Back up.
Ron?
Yes.
Proviso Township High School District 209 Board meeting is back in order, back in session. If it pleases the board, we're going to move to the consent agenda at this time. Are there any items to be pulled from the consent agenda? I would like to pull. Anybody have anything? No? I would like to pull item. I 3A4. Got it. Anything else to be pulled from the consent agenda? If not,
Food service.
item 14A
And 14D.
and item 14D. Anything else? If not, hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'm sorry.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Discussion? Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure. Sorry, Sam, I can't hear you. Mrs. Patterson.
Aye.
Mrs. Grant, aye. Mr. Gutierrez.
Aye.
Mr. Wagner.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Medina.
Nay.
Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, can I get a motion to approve item 14A? So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, can I, Ms. Grant, please call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Medina. I'm now marking as absent. Mrs. Patterson.
Aye.
Ms. Grant, aye. Mr. Gutierrez.
Aye.
Mr. Wagner.
Aye.
Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Can I get a motion to approve item 14B?
Oh, no, that was
D.
consent
D.
agenda.
I'm sorry, D. I'm sorry, I'm looking at B. Item 14D on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure. Mrs. Patterson.
Aye.
Grant, aye. Mr. Gutierrez.
Aye.
Mr. Wagner.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly.
Aye.
Ms. Medina is absent. Mr. Alexander.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve item 14I?
Oh, 3A.
3I, 3A,
3A4.
3A4.
That's, okay,
Where's that at?
just give me 1 second. The,
9384.
It's the thing we talked about in
384,
executive
yeah.
session. We voted on whether we said one, or we discussed it.
I just pulled it from her.
Did I hire or not?
Right. We're gonna vote it up or down.
Yes.
let me just read it, let me get my bearings real quick, I'm sorry.
And I should. Let's discuss that later. I don't know how I pulled that. We know you're ready. We know you're ready. Okay. Motion's on the floor.
Okay, so I make a motion?
No, I already made it. I said, can I get a motion to approve item 14, I3A4?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Yes, sir.
This is just a minor comment. Really, I was really kind of a little bit confused, so that's why I didn't understand. Usually when this is going on, the person doing the work or in charge of the work should be able to understand. But, it seemed to me like there was no information or couldn't answer the questions or the names. Usually when you're really involved and into the process, you're able to, the names just come up and it just stick to your head. Who's good, who's not good. And that's all I was.
Gotcha. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Up or down? We're gonna vote up or down, yes. So if you don't want to approve it, you vote nay. If you want to approve it, you vote yes. You vote aye. You can vote up or down.
I feel that,
Yeah, hold on, the motion on the floor, so I gotta call a question. No, we're not tabling, we're voting to approve it. There are, it's discussion, if you got discussion. Yeah, we're in discussion right
that's
now.
what I said.
Yes.
I don't think it was done fairly.
Okay.
And looking at the resumes, it was not done fairly.
That's fine. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure, Ms. Grant, aye. Mr. Gutierrez?
Nay.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Nay.
Ms. Medina is absent. Mr. Alexander?
Nay.
Mrs. Patterson?
Aye.
Motion fails.
Motion passed. All righty, new business.
15. Oh, 15, yeah.
I'm sorry. Where am I at? I'm just skipping right over 15. Okay, right, I'm sorry. Can I get a motion to approve item number 15, termination of, what's his name?
William Simpson.
Mr. William Simpson, as discussed in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Ms. Grant, please call the roll.
Sure, Mr. Gutierrez?
Aye.
Mr. Wagner?
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly?
Aye.
Ms. Medina is absent. Mrs. Patterson?
Aye.
Ms. Grant, aye. Mr. Alexander?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Old business?
You said what?
Old business. Hearing none, new business. Board reorganization meeting on possibly May 4th. That's open for discussion, and I know we did not set a date. We've got two possible. Karen, what was it? May 4th is the last date, and April 27th is the first date for it. Both of those are on Tuesdays. So that's for the board reorganization after they've counted the votes to get us back, sworn back in.
Right.
So if the board would like to discuss which one of those dates right now, if you can, if not, we can take some time to get it. We got some time.
Oh, because we can't wait until the next meeting, it has to happen.
No, it'll be too late at the next
Okay.
meeting.
What's that, what option is it?
May 4th
And April 27th.
and April 27th, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Either
Oh,
is fine.
Mine's May 4th, huh?
May 4th. We could do May the 4th be with you, and it'll be Star Wars themed.
The 4th will be very, I probably won't be able to come up for.
What's the
I love
27th?
a theme
The
party.
27th
I
is
really
mildly
do.
better, yeah.
It's mildly better. Okay, so we got one for the 27th, Sam?
That's fine.
27th is fine for you?
27 is fine for me.
27th is fine?
27?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
And if we could do it like maybe a little bit later, is that possible?
6? Or just,
I'm good with the 27th.
I am, even though it's not Star Wars.
You know,
I feel like that's a sort of rejection of my opinion.
At 6 p.m. on the 27th.
oh, that's your
Front turn of the charm.
That's already gone.
Okay. And you wanted to start a little bit later anyway, right? Okay.
Yeah. The later the better for me.
what time?
What time are you guys talking about?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? What?
6:30 more like.
No, I mean, what's late for you, Dan? What's late?
Well,
Late.
we're on the verge of opening,
Uh-huh.
so May I'm done, I'm working 16 hours a day.
Okay.
So April 27th, I've been out, I can leave on the 27th.
Okay.
So whatever, 5:30 or 6, I guess, whatever's convenient for everyone.
Can we reschedule the committee meeting for that day? Okay. We can either change the time or reschedule the committee meeting, Ms. Kelly, that's cool,
Or
on the 27th for the Black History, so we can do the reorganization.
do we have a video going on with people?
We can make it there.
Okay.
Okay, so 27th it is. Everybody's cool with the 27th? Okay, so we'll go with the 27th, and say 6 o'clock, 6:30, what's good for the board?
6 o'clock, I can make 6.
6 o'clock, okay, 6 p.m. on the 27th for reorganization. Okay. All right, any other new business?
Was that the whole swearing in ceremony thing?
Yes, that's gonna be all of that, swearing in, establishment of officers. We do all that reorganization at the next meeting, once the votes and stuff are tallied. New business, to the community, I would like to apologize this evening for the minor interruption. The president's job per policy is to keep the board meeting moving and orderly. I gave the president's report, and unfortunately, I cannot control, nor do I want to control what any board member says. But there are certain things that are being put out that are just inappropriate and wrong, and they're a direct attack on people's characters and stuff, and we in good conscience cannot sit here as your elected officials and allow that to continue. So that's what you saw. We're gonna be working to try to shore that up and make sure that our meetings move smoothly and we take care of your business appropriately. But make no doubt about it, this is not the entire board, this is one person. And short of just consulting and coming up with ways to deal with it, I can't have them removed, we don't have the authority to do that. So we'll figure it out, but just wanted to apologize on behalf of that to the public. If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I have a new business, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I would just like to thank the community for re-electing me. It's really a pleasure to serve in this board, especially because in 2018, my son graduated from PMSA, and not only was his name on the diploma, so was mine. This year, my other son graduates from Proviso East, and not only is his name on the diploma, and so is mine. And I'm very proud of that because, to be honest with you, many of you don't know, I did not do well in high school, so I did not go to my graduation. So God blessed me with 3 graduations as a sitting board member, but not only that, to be able to sit there and shake and embrace my sons while I was there. So I'm grateful for the community to give me this opportunity to serve them like I serve my family. Thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff. Any other new business?
Yeah, I will echo what Sam said. Thank you very much for re-electing myself for a second term to serve the students of Proviso. I look forward to moving the district forward, working for the kids. I don't want to call them kids, for the students here in District 209. I think there are some great things ahead of us. We just have to afford our one employee to help get us to that, where we're trying to go. And I would like to thank you, Dr. Henderson. Unfortunately, your character has been defamed, but I guess that comes with the territory of you have to take whacks when you are sitting superintendent, whether it's here or wherever.
Any other new business? Hearing none, can I get a motion to adjourn? You have something?
No, just to everyone who, I know a lot of our staff were involved in the the COVID clinic on April 2nd, and I
Yeah.
thought it was run very, very well. I know our staff really pitched in to help throughout the day, through cleaning and registering people and everything in between, and they did a wonderful job, so thank you to everyone who did that.
One other thing, Rodney, there was, I'm not sure of, I think it's Michelle Edwards, her son. I was watching this young man during the town hall. There was one student that was helping out with the food in the cafeteria. I later found out that was Michelle Edwards' son, and I think he needs to be commended. That young man worked awful hard. I just observing him did my heart glad. I mean, he could have been anywhere, and he was volunteering his time in the cafeteria serving food. So that needs to be commended. And then I also would like to thank the district on behalf of Pastor Marvin E. Wiley and Rock of Ages Baptist Church for allowing us an opportunity during his anniversary to use the parking lot. That's what this is about. We're a community. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson. Any other new business? Once, twice, 3 times, or none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Third, fourth, fifth. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, Proviso. Oh my goodness.